5 minutes of questioning. I appreciate her patience.
Thank you, Chair Bilrakis. Good afternoon, everyone. Although I'm not sure that we're always going to reach agreement in this committee on a whole host of issues, I think everyone in the room absolutely agrees that America needs to lead the world on advanced manufacturing and artificial intelligence, especially with the constant geopolitical threats to our supply chain. Stability and reliability in public-private partnerships is vital to ensure that American businesses can plan for the long term and trust that the government will be there to build out programs to foster these types of partnerships, the CHIPS and Science Act, the Infrastructure Law, the Inflation Reduction Act. You know, in my district in Massachusetts, I've seen the powerful impact that those strong public-private partnerships can have on stimulating the local economy and onshoring high-paying jobs. And when done together with groundbreaking research institutions like UMass Lowell, those programs are one of the best ways legislators can work to increase American competitiveness. Dr. Reynolds, how does direct investment in public-private partnerships accelerate the onshoring of manufacturing? I know you've answered this question, but I want to just set the stage.
Sure. Thank you very much. It's a great question, and appreciate that, particularly coming from the state of Massachusetts, which is really a leader in these kinds of partnerships. What we've seen, of course, is that some of our best innovation is coming out of the university partnership that occurs between universities and investors and basically the larger ecosystem in a place like Massachusetts. And those innovations are leading to some of the most advanced new technologies as well as startups. And our hope in developing that kind of investment and building up that pipeline is that, in fact, we grow these companies, we grow these technologies, and they become global leaders for the country and for export. So we have a lot of great examples of how we do this. I think the investments that we've seen to date in university research, in early stage research, is critically important for driving some of the later developments. We saw that, of course, with the COVID vaccine.
Absolutely. And if I wonder if you could just follow up, how are those manufacturers affected when sudden changes, like a blanket federal funding freeze, are announced? I mean, I'm hoping that you could just describe the impact that that kind of unpredictability has on the investments in these partnerships or deter even private sector engagement in those ongoing efforts.
Well, I think that we've talked to date about the importance of certainty and predictability in the business context and what it means for firms as they decide what to invest in and when to make those investments, that they can see ahead. And it certainly has been an uncertain few weeks here in the United States. I think that's also the case when it comes to collaborators and partners like universities. Budgets are laid out years in advance. The importance of building up labs and building up the knowledge base and capabilities in a lab does not happen overnight. It happens over years. It's also very expensive to build that kind of capability. Yeah. And so having some predictability on budgets is something, of course, everybody in this room can appreciate, is how that helps us, deliver the important outputs we're looking for.
Thank you, Dr. Reynolds. I can tell you that manufacturers in my district and across Massachusetts are deeply distressed when they hear the president threaten to take those funds away. In some cases, it'll be catastrophic, and even the threats weaken America as a place to do business. Mr. Kinder, you mentioned in your testimony that the U.S. manufacturing sector has 622,000 unfilled jobs, and you highlighted the critical role of STEM education from K through 12, technical training, apprenticeship programs in addressing this gap. This administration is threatening to cut those very educational programs, even going so far as dismantling the Department of Education. The development of our technical and manufacturing workforce would be decimated. How would Autodesk have to adjust as an employer to meet that demand in workforce if that was to happen?
Thank you for your question. We work with the education community at length. We have over 19,000 institutions from kindergarten all the way through graduate schools, vocational schools, to provide free software to be able to train that next generation. We think that is absolutely critical, and we'll be training them in tools that include AI going forward and helping to upskill that workforce.
Well, thank you. I know I've run out of time. I'll submit my other questions for the record. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Now I'll recognize Mr.